Hello, and welcome to another video. So things are heating up. We are getting towards summer again. I don't know how we're here yet. This year has gone by so fast. Things are getting busy, and I have a question for you. Is your wallet sweating more than you this summer? That is what we were going to be talking about, because it seems to be that there is a sneaky way that summer seems to be one of our most expensive seasons. And people don't actually realize that. They don't take that into account. They look at the holidays and they go, oh, this is going to be an expensive time, but summer can be very expensive. And we don't know how to handle it. So in this video, you are going to learn how to stay financially cool this summer. Pun intended. Okay. So is that pun? I don't know if that's a pun, but either way. So, for people that are out there just juggling everything, maybe kids are out of school, maybe you don't have kids, but things just seem to get really busy during the summer. People want to do more, it's warm, it seems like the thing to do, lots of barbecues, lots of time with family, and you basically end up spending a lot more than you think. And we are going to go through some of the pitfalls that are happening and how you can actually handle them. So if that sounds good to you, stick around, because that's what we're going to be talking about. And if you are new here, just a warm welcome. Lisa, I've been a financial advisor for over 14 years. I almost said 10. 14 years, and I help people get to financial freedom as quickly as possible. All right. So mistake number one is taking advantage of the sun mentality. So every weekend feels like a mini vacation, and you're brunching like it's your job, right? Everybody wants to go out and sit in a deck someplace or sit on the beach or something like that. The sun just calls you out of your house, which is wonderful. You need that vitamin D, right? But it can get to the point that you are spending so much money on eating out, going to happy hour, going to the beer garden, doing this stuff, that it can really create a havoc when it comes to trying to save money for your financial future and for your financial freedom, really. So what can you do when people keep calling and you're just kind of going with the flow kind of thing, right? That's the thing, is we go with the flow in the summertime. Well, why don't you set a fun budget? Okay, so a fun budget is, every month I'm going to spend $500 more or something like that, knowing that this season is going to make it so that you spend more money. And if you have a budget in mind, it's easier to keep track of, right? Otherwise, you're just kind of like, why would you keep track of it? You have no idea what you're trying to spend. If you can keep track of it without having an actual budget, your fun budget for this summertime, that's totally fine. But at the same time, having that budget does keep it condensed a bit. And maybe start talking to friends about outdoor activities that don't cost a lot of money. So I mentioned the beach. The beach can either cost a lot of money or it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It depends on what you're trying to do there, right? How about going for a hike or going for a walk or doing outdoor yoga? Those yoga classes can be expensive, but some of them are not that bad. It's probably cheaper than going out to eat and happy hour, right? So essentially, it's better for your health too, I should say. So essentially, thinking of different things that you could do, maybe putting together a list of activities so that you can go out and brunch and have fun, but also maybe throw in some activities to offset that so you're not spending so much money. And that'll make it more fun, because you don't want to just keep doing the same thing. I mean, by the end of the summer, I'm not a big bruncher. I don't go out brunching a lot. But by the end of summer, I'm sure it's boring, right? Like, how many brunch places are you going to go to, right? How many mimosas are you going to drink? So just because it's sunny doesn't mean that your debit card has to come out of hibernation, right? You can put it back in there, it can go to sleep a little bit more. So mistake number 2 is vacation FOMO spending. We're taking a lot of vacations. Maybe you're taking a big getaway vacation, or maybe, you're just doing little, weekend things, which I have a whole theory that these weekend trips that we take, that we think we're saving money because we're not taking a big one, actually add up to oftentimes being more money than the big vacation. That you actually really want and need to reset and do better with work, career, family, all that stuff. So I don't know. That's my theory, based on what I've seen with people. But value-based traveling is something that you can look at, right? Does this trip align with my bigger goals? Okay. So again, this is that time where it's not meant to make you feel like you have to stay home or do staycations or travel hacks, but those aren't necessarily bad to look into. There's tons of YouTube videos out there of people who are traveling on the down low, not spending that much money. Of course, they've taken years to, build up points and stuff, and it did cost some money at the beginning. But there are plenty of those out there to take a look at. Also, what are some things that you could do in your immediate area that you haven't done before? Is there a museum you haven't gone to look at? Is there some kind of hobby that you could be doing? Maybe it's classes at the library. I don't know what it is. But you can find other things to do instead of necessarily jumping on the vacation bandwagon. And what I'm talking about is not your big vacation. If you have your big vacation and you've planned for it and it's part of your budget, go have a fun time, right? Go have a great time. Again, having a budget in mind is a really good idea when you're on those vacations, especially if you're like in Europe or something and you're going out to eat a lot. Having an idea of how much you want to spend and what you want to constrain it to doesn't make your vacation less fun. It just makes you a little bit more conscientious and responsible, right? Maybe writing out what presents you want to buy for people, what things you want to buy for yourself. Are you going to go wine tasting in Italy and know that you're going to want to buy a case of something? That is totally fine. You just need to put that into your planning and think about it a little bit ahead of time so that maybe you curb going to 5-star restaurants over in Italy. Maybe go to, a little less expensive place so that you can make up and get your case of your delicious wine that's out there. That sounds like that would be one of my things. I would love to go wine tasting in Italy. Maybe someday. I have to actually plan that. Okay. Number 3 mistake is neglecting the summer slump in income. So this goes out mainly to my business owners out there or people who are commission based, okay? Oftentimes the summer is a bit of a slump. I'm actually starting to feel it now in terms of clients are starting to go on vacation and stuff and they don't really want to talk to me. They're like, I'm having fun. I don't want to talk to you about my finances, which is totally fine. But essentially what happens is that income goes down for a lot of people. Maybe you don't get as many sales. Maybe, all this stuff happens. It depends on your industry, right? Like, my brother's in air conditioning and heating. I'm sure his industry goes skyrocketing during the summer because people's air conditionings keep going out, right? So that's a little different. But if you're in consulting or something like that, people don't necessarily do as much of that kind of work with people during the summertime. They want to take vacation. They want to take some time off. Their kids might be at home, and so they want to take that time with them. So you've got to plan for that kind of stuff. I have a story that I've told people before, and this is a true story. So this was a friend of mine, and I noticed that she was always stressed the same month of the year, and it was March. And she said, I always am stressed out. And I said, why is that? And she says, because we don't make as much money in March as we do the other months. The income doesn't come in as much. We didn't sell as many policies or whatever it was during that time. And I said, well, that this happens every year. Why not save for this so that this isn't so stressful for you? And she had never really considered that before. And by doing that, it just took off a lot of stress load on her. So March is obviously not summer. However, if you know that your business might slump in the summertime, why not think about that? Why not save towards that so you're not stressed out during times like this? And you can, then you have more time to go brunching and hikes and, your other activities that don't cost as much money, right? So consider that and keep that in mind. Number 4 is overspending to fill time. Okay. Now, it's funny, this can happen anytime, but I do see this happen more during the summertime because we have longer days. And I have seen people get a little bit more depressed during the summertime, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true because it's just more time that they feel kind of alone. You know, I've seen this more and more, unfortunately, during COVID and beyond, that basically people feel alone a lot, and this summertime just kind of reminds them how alone they are. Winter, they can kind of assume everybody's at home too, which they probably are because it's cold for most of us out there. But summertime is just a just another reminder for people. Not to go completely deep, sorry if that's you. I hope that you're not alone. But time opens up during the summer, and so spending often does that. You stay out later with friends because it's still light out, and so you get that other drink, or you get that dessert, or you get, this all sounds like health stuff. Don't do that because it's not great for your health. But on top of it, we stay up later and later. And, financial freedom doesn't mean that your rooftop bar experience has to be $200. Maybe it's, $50 and you drink some water in there. Swap savings, swap events so that you are not necessarily using this extra time just to spend money. The same thing goes with online spending, goes up a lot because we're sitting at home and it's still light, and maybe you're sitting outside and you're on your phone and you buy things because it still feels like during the day, but it's 8 o'clock at night. So maybe you have a time that you stop spending. Maybe it's, after 7 o'clock, I don't spend any more money, whether it's online, in person, whatever. Whatever that rule is, just keep in mind that the longer daylight hours tends to mean that we spend more because our brain tricks us into thinking it's still light out, still go time, right? Instead, it should be calm down time. Maybe read a book that you've already paid for, because I do that. I have way too many books. I could never finish them, and I'm like, ooh, new one, and I buy it. So that's not what we should be doing. So don't follow me on that side of it. Mistake number 5 is forgetting future you during this time. It's very YOLO, live in the moment. You only live once if you don't know what YOLO means. Summer makes us feel like, oh, care in the world, I don't need to worry about that. But I hate to say it, summer is halfway through the year. We're halfway through the year already. It's unbelievable. I don't know how this happened in 2025. We're going fast. But Q4 is going to be here before you know it. And we're not thinking about future self. We're not thinking about our financial future because we're living in the moment, right? And there's nothing wrong with living in the moment, but it's got to be balanced. You can have moments that you are YOLOing all over the place, and then you have to have those moments where you're sitting down and preparing and planning for things. And I think during the summertime that just goes out the window, and then the end of the year, towards the rest of the year, people are sitting there going, I'm not going to make my savings goals. I'm not going to, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And we're trying to rush it all between, really, I would say, Labor Day and I would say really Halloween, but let's say Thanksgiving. That's a very short period of time to try to scrunch everything in, because then everybody wants to take the holidays off too. It's that mindset that even though you're living for now and having fun and doing great things, I hope you are enjoying life to the fullest right now. I really do. Summer is supposed to be fun and outdoors and enjoying life. However, you also want to make sure that you are preparing so that you can continue to enjoy that life throughout the rest of the year for many years to come. Okay, you don't want to be sitting in a year from now because you enjoyed life too much now and not be able to do anything because you went through all your emergency savings, or you went through everything and you feel like you can't do anything. That's not enjoying life. And my theory, my motto is to enjoy life now and also prepare for the future, because I just think too many people, I was just talking to somebody about this a moment ago before I started the video. You know, when are you going to use this money that you've saved? And he's so afraid to live in the now. And I get that, you know, because it's scary to do that. It's scary to take savings that you've had and use it and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there is a balance you can find. You can still make sure you're continuing to hit your goals, do your things, and enjoy life. Nobody wants you to be sitting at home being miserable. That's not life. It's just not. And nobody talks about the mental drain and really issues that can come from that by sitting at home and just worrying about saving for the future. It can cause a problem. So and then the last one is one I am susceptible to, and I am not going to do this again. Okay, I'm telling you now, I'm not going to do it. It's the summer sales, right? Summer sales and false urgency. And I've said this before, I like makeup, I like beauty, I like all that stuff, right? And I've noticed a pattern. I've been into it for about a couple years. I've started to notice a pattern. It's always during the holidays, there's always these sales that happen. They say, oh, once in a lifetime sales or this or that. And don't fall prey to it. If you don't have a specific thing that you want, if you have a specific thing you've been looking for and a sale happens and then you can buy it, okay, that's not bad. But there's two things to really think about. One is if there's nothing you're looking for, don't go on their website. Just delete it. Just delete the emails, right? If there's something you've been looking forward to and have on your kind of like list of things that you want to buy and it's on a really good sale, that's another thing. But here's the thing. The free shipping thing can be a big problem, right? People go, oh, my item is $16, but then I have to pay $6 in shipping. Okay, but if I go up to $35 or $40, now I get free shipping. Don't do that. Just pay the $6 in shipping. I mean, the 16 and the 6 are definitely a lot less than paying $35 and the tax that's on top of that, because your tax goes up because the amount that it's being taxed on goes up. So overall, even though we don't like paying for shipping, that little thing of, oh, if I get to the next tier, then I don't have to pay for shipping. Don't fall for that, okay? Look at what you're buying and go, do I really want all this stuff or am I just doing it for the free shipping? Because if I'm just doing it for the free shipping, that's dumb, okay? Sorry, I don't mean to call anybody dumb, but it's dumb. So, and then I think I said that was the last one, but it's not. This is the last one, which is, I'm looking at my notes if you're wondering what I'm looking at, which is skipping financial check-ins. Because we're YOLOing, right? We're enjoying life. Things are busy. Kids are home. Maybe you don't have kids, but you're running around. People are coming in from town, out of town, you know, all that stuff. And we skip our money dates with ourselves. Skip the financial check-ins. Don't look at our bank account. Don't look at our investment accounts. Don't do any of that stuff because it's summer. Don't do that. There's a thing that I write in my journal every single day. I really try to remember this. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. But it says, keep promises to yourself. And by brushing this stuff aside, if it is important to you to get to financial freedom, you are not keeping a promise to yourself. You are putting other things in front of the promise that you made to you. And I think that if we can keep more promises to ourselves, we will be in a better position overall. So I hope that maybe that goes into your journal entry as well. But remember, they can be short, they can be quick, they can be they don't have to be a long drawn out thing. Your little mini financial check-in dates with yourself are important. So make sure you keep them up if you have them already. And maybe the summer is a great time to put it in place if you haven't done it already. Okay, so with that, I hope this helped. I hope it got you at least thinking about this in the back of your head as summer moves forward and we start to get into those months where things kind of become chaotic, fun but chaotic. And I hope that this will stick in the back of your head that This is an expensive season, and don't forget that, and make sure that you are doing what you need to do for you. So, what mistakes have you caught yourself doing maybe coming up to the summer? Do you need to put in a fun budget? Do you need to schedule those check-ins again? Maybe that's fallen off the wayside because of XYZ, right? So we are going to continue to build to financial freedom during the summer. This is not a pause. This is still going forward. Every step forward is another step closer to financial freedom, which I know you all want. So if you want more help with that, feel free to book a complimentary call to chat about that. If not, just go ahead and have a great summer and come back for more videos. We've got some good ones coming up. So with that, take care, stay strong, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.